I think, especially if you are early in your journey, you have to think strategically about every investment that you make in life. So I think of Contra as something that maybe you complete a few contracts through the platform. Again, because it's commission free, there is no penalty for you for doing that. As you build that credibility, you place that initial investment into the platform, so to speak, investment of time. Once it gives you back, as in like you get some, inbound work opportunities, you complete them on the platform, so you create more evidence on the platform. You start early if you lean into the platform's ideas, if you lean into building your identity, and you show care about it, like just as you would about your own identity, then it will give you back. Thus, that's a virtuous cycle of hopefully building a very prosperous future for you. It gives you control over, this gives you creative freedom, meaning that you get a lot of great clients as a result of the trust you build in the platform. It just gives you freedom. We're definitely going to see more people that are able to niche down and use AI tools in a way that allow them to commit to bigger projects on their own, and kind of like just own a corner in a space. There's something that I'm very, very, very excited. Let me think if I can share it. Okay, I'll give you a glimpse. We came up with this idea. It's a collaboration of me, Ben, Allison, and it's going to be called.
Gajus, welcome to the podcast, man. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys.
Yeah, it's an honor to have you here. Guys, for anyone who doesn't know, Gaius is the co-founder of Contra. He co-founded it along with Ben. Essentially, you are 50% of the reason we are sitting here right now speaking with each other, because otherwise we would probably never known each other. So welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure to be here again.
So diving into the first question, like we said, you co-founded Contra, a platform that completely changed everything for independents, whether it's creatives, devs, content writers, basically everything you can think of. When you started out, what was the moment that made you realize that this needs to exist?
Yeah, I mean, there was a buildup before the moment. Like there's a journey that leads you into that moment. I the very first internet money I've earned was through freelancing. I grew up in Lithuania, far away from Silicon Valley, and my way to access these capital markets was through, at the time, platforms like Odesk and other freelancing platforms. So I was still figuring out the world. I wanted to, deploy my IT skills, but didn't know how to engage the clients. So freelancing platforms offered this perfect path to it, where I could be semi-anonymous, go to these platforms, as in I don't have prior identity, go to these platforms, start bidding on jobs, get some clients, maybe fail a few projects, but learn along the way, and develop the confidence. So that was mine, and I think that's many other people that have various skills, entry point to building their ability to work online. So I've done that for quite a few years, maybe like 3-4 years. And then once I build that confidence, the natural question that came to my head, that comes to many other people's heads, is like, why am I building an identity on this platform where I don't control it, and someone is taking 20 or whatever the percentage was at the time of what I'm earning? So I then went on to start a digital agency. I started a digital agency that was promoting movies. So we ran digital campaigns for over 200 movies across the world. And during that era, I hired a lot of freelancers to help me to design, to develop, and etc. And it was kind of the same playbook. I would go to these freelancer platforms. I would hire the best people. And eventually, once you build trust, you take them off the platform. And then after the agency, I've started a startup where, again, the same playbook. I hire the best people. I discover a lot of them through some freelancing platform, develop a relationship with them, take them off the platform. So by the time it came to build Contra, and when I met Ben and we started talking, he already had the idea of the zero commission marketplace. I was working on this talent graph for engineers. So the ideas were slightly overlapping in a positive way, contributing to each other. By the time like we started discussing what Contra could be and what problem it serves, it was so obvious because I've been through the journey of going from zero to something, dropping off. I've been through the journey of hiring the best people and then taking them off the platform. And it made me realize that fundamentally, over if you look at people around, the best people, the people that we want to work with, they are not on those platforms and they're kind of lost in the void. They maybe have individual portfolio websites, they maybe have agencies, but there's no place for them to call home. So that was, I think, just reflecting on that journey to that point was when it clicked. Okay, we just have to do it. The question was like, how? It's so unconventional and poses so many challenges. And lucky for me, for us, for everyone, the timing, the co-founder period just happened to set us up for a successful start, and we're still going. So, more to come.
It's how connecting the dots, right? Looking back, like, as Steve just say, and you just look back and say, you know what, this is something that we struggle with, and now we build something. And we, as a designer, for example, in my case, and Daniel, for example, we struggle with different things. That if we struggle with Figma, we are not going to build a Figma right now because we
Yeah.
are at different points, right? Maybe the first 3 to 7 years in the career, but you guys had a long road before Contra, and coming to Contra, I think that was the cherry on top. It was like, you know what, we are ready for this. We have done something uh, different in the past, but a background, it blends really well into Contra. And honestly, Contra is home, and I resonate a lot with what you say. I was about to interrupt you and say, oh, that was before Contra. Now with Contra, Contra is home for us, and we feel like that. And I think something I mentioned it to Allison back in March when I met you guys here in Austin. It was I came to Contra for the zero commission. I love it. I was
Yeah.
running away from PayPal fees, but I stay for the community, and I think that's the most valuable, and that's a centric. That's the central product that you guys and the core product that you guys focusing. And I think that's amazing. That's the best decision in my opinion.
Amazing to hear, man. I mean, to your point, I don't think Contra would have been possible, obviously, without amazing community, without amazing investors, the team. But the co-founder background, both of us just going through, Ben from the music journey perspective, me from everything I mentioned, like those experiences are critical, and they are what carries Contra's product vision. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's interesting. You brought up the zero commission came up quite a few times during this call. I'll zoom in on it for a second because I think it's interesting. Like it's it's not like zero commission is not like the end goal. It's not even like a feature. It's kind of like an artifact of everything else I want to do. It's like, if you think about it, like if you take a step back, the reason Contra is what it is today is because first we just removed commission as this just like we're not making there any compromises. We're removing the commission, and then we pose a question: if you remove the commission, like how does the model that existed for like over a decade of talent marketplaces, how does it fundamentally change? It was removing the commission that enabled us to allow people to have public identities, to allow us to freely move in and out of the platform, to allow to develop direct relationships with the clients, to share their contacts or whatever other things are restricted on other platforms. It's not so much that zero commission is the feature that sells it. It's the feature that unlocked us to do things that are seen like no-nos on other platforms, but fundamentally that define what Contra is today. So in many ways, Contra became a professional network that has a lot of marketplace features like the invoicing, the payments, and whatnot. But fundamentally, your main job on the platform is to build an identity, to build a network, to show yourself, what you're capable of, and the best work. And our job is to drive the best work to the platform and for them to discover the best people for the job.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think we talk about something like that back in the interview with Ben, the first interview. But
Yeah.
it's great to see that you mentioned, as you mentioned, the free commission. It was kind of like a north star. This is what we're heading by. It's not everything. This is just the starting point. This is just, I would call the disruption point.
Yeah.
Compared with everything that existed before, and still exists, but they keep operating the old way. And that's what we call Contra the future of work, right? Because it basically disrupts an entire industry with millions of people from a lot of countries. But we know that Contra is being super creative first. I'm glad to also I was able to join a program with Daniel when we were working closely with Contra, and there was a point, and that's a question for you. There was a point where uh, keeping the vision was very hard for you guys, and like that you could do something easier, but that would compromise authenticity and the core values that you guys promoted Contra.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of points like that. It's the hard thing about the hard things, building a startup that fundamentally tries to redefine how, the industry works. Like during the journey, you constantly feel these gravitational forces that are pulling you towards the existing things that work. The marketplaces that have the commission, the professional networks that restrict features behind paywalls, and so forth and so forth. But fundamentally, you have a vision, you have an idea of what you want to work towards. And you're driven by these ideals, like what the world would look like, that vision of what the world would look like if this is successful. And that kind of becomes the guiding force. So, it's not fun to be compared to other platforms in terms of, like, let's call efficiency, in a sense that if you're looking from the investor's perspective, it's the amount of contract volume that's going through Contra today, earlier, but especially today, it's significant. And we're not taking commission on that. And sometimes you have these moments where you think like, man, if we added just 1% of commission fee on this, suddenly all the problems would go away. Every investor would be happy, and etc. But that's like a very short-term thinking. This is a thinking that, okay, it will make my tomorrow's meeting easier. I'll feel better when presenting this to the board and whatnot. But it fundamentally compromises on the ideals of why we're doing this. And so throughout the journey, there's been many times where someone new enters an organization and they have those insights, and where they're like, guys, you could just like put this behind the paywall, or like do this there, and etc., etc. And it's interesting to listen to them, because if we think about like maybe the first 2 years of the Contra's journey, anytime a conversation like this would happen, it was our job, me and Ben, predominantly, like as founders, to basically just say like, this is not the vision. This is not what, like why we hired you. This is what we're building towards. And this is where, this is why we're going to win. And you keep repeating the story over and over and over. And then over time, you build a team. And when new people come, like right now, and the same conversations come in, someone from the team will jump in the conversation way before me or Ben, and like do the whole pitch of like why it's so important that we stick to this vision, how fundamentally the trust that we've built over 5.5 years now, almost 6 years, is the most valuable asset of Contra. And trust is something that takes many, many years to build and can be lost with one bad experiment. And so we take those core ideas of why we're going to win, the open market that attracts the best people, the marketplace that the most talented people are proud to call home and associate and build their identities and trust us to build identities around the platform. It takes a lot longer to build a successful business around those ideal principles that are unconventional. But the thing that, where we maybe like struggle on the business metrics, where we win on like the revenue or whatever, where we win is the retention, meaning that we're compounding on every single day on trust from the best people, the best users, and they invite their best collaborators to the platform, and the whole network just keeps growing and is now at this like a very rapid pace. It took a lot of years to get to this point, but I'm very proud of what we, the team, the community, and everyone's trust has allowed us to achieve.
Yeah, I feel like even only being here for the past year and some change, the way it's grown during that time is pretty intense. So I can only imagine if you times it by 4 to 5, like what scale that actually is and what it feels to you.
Yeah, I truly believe that. And man, these like scale laws at a scale of a network are very complicated to grasp your head around. But I truly firmly believe that within 4 or 5 years, we're going to be the biggest professional network on earth. And this is simply by the fact of the network effects and the trust that you build along the way. If you can retain a promise of your core values being delivered for over a decade, fundamentally you have a trust of the community. And once you have something that's been like so obvious in terms of the value prop for such a long time, and it's uncompromised for such a long time, it will just work as a magnet. It will attract the best people, and it will just keep accelerating in growth. And that's the beautiful thing about it. Yeah.
I 100% agree with that. I think it's going to be bigger than what I think for sure. I guess you already know in your head what it's going to be, but like you said, the people, the talent that's been around, it leads me to the next question we wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
I feel like not in the design community as a whole, but in Contra as well, the economy has changed in a way that real talent is being noticed,
Yeah.
and the talented people are being hired more and more. And we've been seeing this trend of basically freelancers starting to build brands rather than
Mhm.
working as independents. So, how do you see that shift of basically people becoming more like brands? Do you notice it more from your perspective as well? Is that something that you think you have new ideas to help those brands in new ways that they haven't seen before?
Part of me hopes that one of the reasons we're seeing this shift is because Contra exists. Like fundamentally, what you're describing are the core beliefs of what the more efficient future looks like, and the ideas behind every product decision that are made in the platform. It's like, how do you move away from this highly inefficient, extractive process of job boards where you kind of like your identity is ephemeral only to the bid that you're making. Like it vanishes basically past that point, and you're treated as kind of like a replaceable skill. To the idea that people just like how I described like Contra's path to building trust with the community, that each and every member on the platform fundamentally is going through the same journey. Like they start with some projects, they start with some collaborators, they get recommendations along the way, they learn new tools. All of this is captured on the platform, and they're starting to build a brand around it. In many ways, the new wave of creatives are very similar to founders, like startup founders. You network, you talk about what you're passionate, you you find an edge in the market, like using the latest tools, and you bring that as an offering to the market. So all of these things are like compounding to more and more people existing as these hyper network, hyper present mini agencies, mini brands. And I think the next chapter of Contra, if I just speculate on the spot, or the biggest thing that we'll need to unlock is to figure out how to get to the point where some of the biggest world's brands, when they need bigger projects, can come to Contra and they can hire either individuals on Contra or a group of individuals that are really good at collaborating with each other. The thing that really got me excited about in the early days about Contra is, there's no commission, all of that, all those dynamics are really interesting, but like the idea that we will build a graph of people, projects, and people that work on those projects, how they collaborate with each other, what tools they use, what are their strengths. And the thesis behind that is if you have the biggest, world's biggest data graph on sort of these interactions, then in the future, when these big brands come and say like, oh man, I have like a last minute, I'm a Coca-Cola and I have this like last minute major campaign that they need to launch in 7 days. Like, find me the people in Contra Network that are aligned with my taste, aligned with my brand, and I need like 5 people that are hyper capable of working together. I think that is one of the things that's keeping me awake at night, because I think we're the only company, the only entity that's positioned to win in that problem space. So I think at the moment, it's exactly what you described. People are becoming these mini brands, mini agencies. AI is giving them an edge to do a lot more than historically a single person could have had, was able to do. And then the next evolution of that is like, how can we quickly organize people to get together and complete these far bigger projects than anything we've seen even today.
And that's huge. And honestly, we have seen that. We have seen like Canva, Framer, Flutterflow. We have seen big startups and big companies hiring a Contra. And honestly, it kind of like it just scaled up. And honestly, the talent, I think the talent is matching, and the companies, they are matching all together. Like probably 3 years ago, we didn't get to see like big startups, big companies knowing about Contra. Honestly, nowadays, everyone look at the platform. And what I mean everyone is like, I'm on different social media and I see a lot of people like turning and say, hey, I didn't know about this platform. I've been on Upwork or Fiverr for a long time. And something that you say would introduce my next question about AI, but I wanted to gonna give you my thoughts on the biggest issue I see on marketplaces. And honestly, Contra removes that. And it's when they try to open new monetization and new
Yep.
revenue ways, they charge you more. They make the expert pay for it, bidding for the to compete on the projects, getting to new platform that you didn't know that you need, all kind of stuff. They just trying to charge you more and more and more. And on the contrarian space, I get to see Contra for the same price, not moving out the needle. Instead of that, like giving you promotions and give you giveaways and basically free money for share your work. Contra adds more stuff to the plate for the same price. Basically, more value for the same price, and that's something I love to see because they haven't changed for a long time, and Contra is disrupting that way. And that led me also to this question. So, how do you see the future independent career zooming out today and looking at 5 years from now? It is one person working with AI, or it is a team of collaborators globally working together? Is both of them, or is something that we haven't seen yet?
I think we're definitely going to see more people that are able to niche down and use AI tools in a way that allow them to commit to bigger projects on their own. and kind of like just own a corner in the space. We're already seeing examples of this, even in our community. People with animation, with video, 3D. There are a lot of these examples emerging. But I think that's kind of like a natural evolution that will just happen for everyone else. I don't see this as disruptive as I see this just like as a natural evolution, like the same way that Photoshop or 3D Max enabled one step function of efficiency, moving from pen and paper. Like this is just another step in efficiency, and most of the market will adopt those tools and become good with them, and they will blend with some of the original tools. But fundamentally, the edge will remain in your ability to build the identity, build a brand. And part of that is networking with other people, collaborating with other people, and kind of like working towards what I was saying earlier, towards that idea that AI will enable you to be extremely capable as an individual, but you being in a network where you're networked and you're recognized for your contributions and for your ability to collaborate with others will enable another step function in what a single person can take as a project owner and then bring to the network and collaborate with 5-10 other people to deliver the entire project. So like far bigger projects. Yeah.
That's very interesting. Like I'm starting to see this happening now, not only around but with myself and my work as well, especially because of and in Contra. So yeah, I'm very eager to see. Guys knows what's going on behind the scenes, so I'm very eager to see what happens in the next 3 years with this.
Very cool.
Yeah, and
Yeah, feel the
now
same. Feel the same.
we have a bunch of rapid fire questions for you. So
Cool.
the point of this would be to answer as fast as possible without thinking too much.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to start. One thing people always get wrong about Contra.
It's not a job board. I keep getting asked about like, where are the jobs? How do I apply the jobs? You don't have enough jobs. And I'm like, it's not a job board. You come to Contra to build identity. Great identity takes time to build. Once you're building, it's like a long-term investment with high dividends. So just build the identity, and yeah.
What is harder, Gajus, raising money or raising trust?
So money buys attention, and trust earns retention. You can raise money in a month, and many people do. Many people fail. Trust takes 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, 10 years. I don't know. We'll see. So I think, I think building trust is fundamentally harder, because once you raise the money, you're going to face so many these short-term forces. You talked about them, like potentially, do you want to reduce commission? Do you want to like paywall this, or etc. And it, trust is, if you want to retain that trust and you want to build that trust, it's going to be a big challenge for you. So definitely trust. Yeah.
Favorite Contra memory from the early days?
Oh, just me and Ben walking around Pacific Heights. I think about it a lot. There's even this photo that keeps floating around where we just we're early days working together, first week working together. We are in San Francisco on the bench, and Zoe took a photo of us, and then we sent to all of our investors and said something along the lines, the best is yet to come. And I think about that moment a lot, just because there's so many of those ideas that we're working on today come from like those early walks.
What is a feature that you would love to build, but your team would probably kill you for doing that?
Dark theme. I want dark theme since first year, and it's been the thing I keep bringing up on a bi-weekly basis, and it's still getting prioritized. There are more important things to build.
If Contra had a tagline you'd actually say at a bar, what would it be?
Home for the world's best talent. It's very simple, and it captures pretty well the idea of like what we want to build. It's the best sound, and the reason they call it home is because they feel welcome, and it just feels like a place you want to be.
I feel like that sums it up pretty much perfectly. Uh, while we're here, do you have any inside information you want to share with us about what's coming up soon?
Inside information. Okay. What can I share? When is this coming out? Next week? um, there's something that I'm very, very, very excited. Let me think if I can share it. Okay, I'll give you a glimpse. We're so feed has become a big part of Contra, and we think that feed is what's going to drive a lot of the identity. And now we're spending a lot of time thinking, what are the primitives on the feed that are unique to Contra, like things that only we do and that we're uniquely positioned to do, and no one else can really replicate it. Um, so we came up with this idea. It's a collaboration of me, Ben, Allison, and it's going to be called Taste Test. And the way that Taste Test works is that as a designer, you often want to get feedback from your peers. So you'll be able to post to the community 2 designs and simply ask, which one do you prefer, A or B? And this is very simple as a concept. So you're going to be able to post this, get that feedback from the community. But the very interesting thing that happens once you start doing this is that after a while, after collecting 50, 100, whatever of these submissions, people saying A or B, we're going to start building an understanding of who are the people on the platform that are taste aligned. So I could go to Daniel's profile and see that he's like 90% aligned with my taste, because over the course of the years we made the same choices on A or B test. So it's a very cool idea that's unique to Contra, where basically you are going to be more capable of finding the people around you that you're aligned with on the taste and the things that you want to build and that you're inspired by. And I just really like it because I've never seen it anywhere else. I think it's a unique data primitive to our platform, and it will probably evolve into a lot of the things that are that are driving people to love Contra. We're thinking about doing this, like also the idea, like for instance, if I go to hire someone, I could do a taste test where basically I can go through all of the same tests that they have done in the past and see if we're aligned or not. I just think it's so cool. Like we're super early days in the like figuring out how exactly it's going to work, like if it's even going to be like how am I describing, but the whole idea of like figuring out like the taste alignment across a large like number of people, I'm just fascinated because it's a new data point that doesn't really exist anywhere else.
Wow, I didn't expect this. I can already see where this is going. Oh wow, this is great. It's gonna save. Oh my god, it's gonna save so much time. Like imagine working with someone who, you can cut this off, has no taste at all, and it's just like a nightmare to work with because you send nice stuff and they hate it.
But isn't it? It's so cool.
Just
like,
not having this experience ever again. Like sign me up, honestly.
I'm very psyched about it. Yeah.
Wow.
That's exciting. We on board for the beta set,
Yeah.
demo.
Absolutely.
It's all right. That will work similar to the creative arena in some way somehow, because I went through a couple hours testing the creative arena. I love what I see, but yeah, I would like to know if visually looks kind of like that.
Visually, it will look slightly different just because the interactions are different. But I think Creative Arena is what planted the idea for us. Like that's how it emerged. Like a sort of taste alignment with other people. So yeah, let's call it an evolution from the Creative Arena.
I had a final question for you, and honestly, I think that this would
Okay.
inspire a lot of people to join Contra. Why someone who's not part of Contra yet and they trying to figure out in the freelancing independent space? why should they choose Contra and why they should push forward like never before?
I think, especially if you are early in your journey, you have to think strategically about, well, every investment that you make in life. You want to make investments that are not short-term lived, but are like a long-term things that will compound over many years. So I think of Contra as something that if you start today and maybe you just connect the few of the closest people that you work with, maybe you complete a few contracts through the platform again because it's commission free. There is no penalty for you for doing that. As you build that credibility, you place that initial investment into the platform, so to speak, investment of time and trust. It will give you back. And once you give it the idea there is that once it gives you back, as in like you get some inbound work opportunities, you complete them on the platform, so you create more evidence on the platform, then bigger opportunities come to you, and it just keeps compounding. And I think like when I think about my personal career and like the things I've done, like I've done a lot of open source work. So just giving things for free into the world, kind of like, look what I've done, what I'm capable of doing, and how much it gave me back. And as a result, I've done more open source work, and how much I've created more open source work, gain more work from that, and so forth. That kind of loop just kept spiraling, and eventually, what led me to be able to build Contra. A lot of the same principles and ideas are behind of what we want the individual person's journey to be on Contra. If you start early, if you lean into the platform's ideas, if you lean into the building your identity, and you show care about it, like just as you would about your own identity, then it will give you back. And once it gives you back, it starts that virtuous cycle of hopefully building a very prosperous future for you that gives you control this gives you creative freedom, meaning you get to choose the clients you work with, gives you financial freedom, meaning that you get a lot of great clients as a result of the trust you build in the platform. It just gives you freedom to be who you want to be. And I think that's fundamentally what each of us, regardless of the path, strive for the most.
Contra is probably the best investment I have made in my life.
Thank you, man. It means a lot, honestly.
Yeah, I truly mean it. It's been amazing to have you finally over at the show, and it's been reflective for me as well. I uh I have nothing more to add to this.
This is awesome.